And we are back with another episode of From the Rafters. Sam and I are here recording on Thursday, July 7th. Been a week since we recorded. It makes sense. I mean, off season, once a week makes more sense than we were doing like every other day in the finals. You guys got a lot of
We were
content
working
from
full
us.
time for the playoffs. We were
Which is great
trying. We were able to do after every single game during the Bucks series because I was
for
working
the
at
most
night,
part.
which was pretty
Yeah.
fire. But then I had to go back to work mornings, and I cannot justify staying up later than I need to when I do the morning shift. So
Yeah, we did a good
we are
amount though.
back to once we put. I think we're trying to justify not doing a second pod after the live show last week. With the breaking news that happened literally less than 24 hours
Oh,
after we went off the
that
air.
was so unfortunate. That
Yeah,
was
well,
that was tough.
it's unfortunate, but it's still pretty great, right?
Yeah.
Because well, you had your agenda. Is this where you wanted to start?
Yeah, well, I was gonna ask you, do you want to start with do you wanna go chronologically with what happened, or do you wanna start with what's most recent, and then work back? Like, do you wanna just start with the free agent signing and trade and stuff, or do you wanna start with summer league? Because I have
We got
both.
to start with the trade. The trade
Alright,
was the
so
big one.
well, do you wanna start with Gallinari or Brogdon then? We'll just rip
Brogdon.
the
I
Band-Aid off.
really don't
Brogdon.
care about Gallinari too much because
Okay,
we did get to touch on it in the last one.
briefly, we can talk about that after Brogdon, but we'll start with Malcolm Brogdon. Celtics traded, with the Pacers, got back Malcolm Brogdon, sends out Daniel Tice, Aaron Nesmith, Malik Fitz, Nick Stauskas, and Juwan Morgan, and a 2023 first-round pick that is top 12 protected, in case something drastically goes wrong with the Celtics season next year. They have that there as well. Sam, would you like to say your favorite word?
It's
Hit me with it.
free, and it's about time. I've complained for years that all these other teams they get free trades, and the Celtics never seem to be in on that. You always see these guys get moved for nothing. Uh, I mean, at the end of the day, it wasn't nothing, but at the time, it felt like nothing. Like when Paul George was traded, it was Sabonis
Yep.
and Oladipo at the time. Neither one of them were really like special,
Mhm.
right? Oladipo had been through two teams after being a top pick. Sabonis was somebody that we really didn't know about.
I mean, the Chris Paul
Obviously,
trade was pretty free. The one from OKC to Phoenix, that was a pretty free trade, if you ask me.
yeah,
It
but
was
that's because of the contract. That's different.
okay.
That
Yeah,
that
I
was
guess.
considered like a that Chris Paul before going to Phoenix was similar. It's not the same.
Derrick
Similar,
Rose to the Knicks from the Pistons. There you
something
go.
like
That's
that.
free.
The Chris
Second round
Paul,
pick for Derrick Rose.
yeah, Chris
Yeah,
Paul
free.
to Phoenix was like how Westbrook is viewed now. At the time, that's how it was because it was like you're going to be paying this guy a bunch of money. How great is he going to
Well,
be?
kinda. He had recouped his value in
No,
OKC. He led
it's
them to
not
the
exactly the
playoffs.
same.
He was an
It's
all-star.
not exactly the same, but I mean, nobody really wanted to give up a whole lot, right?
Fair enough. Anyways, essentially, like Sam said, free in the sense that they gave up 0 rotational pieces, sorry. Um, Neesmith and Tice were kind of the closest to that, but both are very replaceable at this point in their careers. Brogdon gonna come in, provide some great guard depth, and now have an elite four-man guard rotation of Marcus Smart, Peyton Pritchard, Derek White, Malcolm Brogdon. Adam, our good buddy Adam Taylor on Twitter, caught a lot of flack. Um, Not necessarily criticizing the trade, but talking about how, I'm not as high on this because of the injury issues. Uh, and I don't think it was really fair the amount of pushback he got. He got roasted like unnecessarily on Twitter because it is definitely a concern. Like, yes, it was a free trade, but the reason it was a free trade is because Malcolm Brogdon's very injury prone, right? He doesn't play a full season. He hasn't played more than I think like 60 games in 3 years, and that's the reason the Celtics were able to pay the price they were able to pay. But it doesn't matter because Marcus Smart is at the point in his career where he's probably not going to play a full 82 anymore. He hasn't in a little while. Malcolm Brogdon's also not that guy. So if Derek White and Peyton Pritchard can play around, 60 to 70, Marcus Smart and Malcolm Brogdon can play around 60 as well. You've got a four-man guard rotation that can cover each other, and that's kind of the point, right? So yes, the injuries are a concern, but at the same time, that doesn't take away from the fact that it was a good trade that will help the Celtics.
Well, the thing is, to why I don't understand the concern is, I mean, there's no risk in this. It's not like you had to like
Yes.
really part with. It's not like if you trade for Durant, right? Which is, everybody. It's polarizing throughout the fan base. Some people want it, some people don't. But if you make that move, whatever you're going to have to give up, there is a risk in letting Jaylen Brown go, if you have to add additional pieces to that, which you probably will from what has been reported they've asked for, um, there's a risk in that. What are you risking? Neesmith is somebody, he's going to go to the Pacers and probably play better than he did on the Celtics, and people are going to get all upset about it. You watch, but he was not going to get any kind of opportunity on this team. The Celtics are pretty deep at the wing position. Even before they made the trade, they had just brought in Gallinari.
Well, I'll push. Continue, and I'll push back on that in a second.
I mean, he wasn't. He didn't get any time over the last year. The
Not the
Celtics brought
Neesmith
in.
thing. Yes.
Well, I don't know what kind of risk you're looking at, really. I mean, you can go back. What do you have to say? I don't
No, no,
see.
no. I'm not pushing back on the wrist thing. I'm pushing back on the fact that they have wing depth. I don't think they have any wing depth right now. I think they have negative wing depth, and that's something that they need to address.
I don't think they have any big depth. Or whatever. I'll continue because
Continue. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
even before you make that trade, you bring in Gallinari. That's somebody that can somewhat play the wing. Would you like to add somebody that's longer and could play defense a little bit more? Yeah, absolutely. Because Gallinari is not doing that for you. Um, but at the end of the day, you have Derek White, who right now, after the trade, is going to probably play more two guard, which is going to be a wing type deal. Okay. You have essentially replaced Neesmith in the depth chart with Derek White, which sounds funny, but I'd imagine that's how it's going to go because you're going to have these guys, at least two of them on the floor most of the time. What are you risking? There is no risk there. Neesmith was not going to get time on this team. Unfortunately, they
Yes.
picked him in the lottery. They gave him run. He never really seemed like he was able to get any confidence behind him. It's tough to build confidence when you're playing spot minutes and you have little opportunities and you have to try and make the most of them every single time. So this is a great move, not only for the Celtics, but for Neesmith. So when Neesmith starts playing better, people on Twitter are going to lose their minds. It's going to be like Desmond Bain when they didn't draft him, or Sadiq
Hmm.
Bey, or name anybody else that they could have, Max Strus, like all
Yep.
these type guys that go somewhere else. And even Javante Green played a little bit better after he left the
Garrison
Celtics.
Matthews.
Yeah. Oh man, like they shouldn't have got rid of this guy. Like you are risking nothing. You gave up a half of a rotational player from a playoff run to get a player that's going to be a huge piece of your team next season. That has been someone that I personally have said on this show many times I would love to see on this team for nothing. You gave up nothing. You didn't give up anybody that
Yeah.
was playing significant minutes. Tice was somebody that was like a polarizing guy. Every time they put him on the floor, you had people complaining, get him out of the game every single
Which I
time.
thought was dumb.
I liked Tice in the third big guy role. I didn't think he was a problem. I think he was fine for that spot.
I think he was a bit expensive. That's the only
Yeah,
thing.
I didn't realize how much money he was making. I did know before the trade happened. Don't worry about it because I had to look up money. I was talking to somebody. I was just curious.
Yeah.
And yeah, they gave up nothing. They risked nothing. They gave up next year's first round pick as the title favorite.
Yeah.
Like, all right, fine. Like, if Brogdon goes out there, it's going to be disappointing if he hurts himself and he isn't able to play. Don't get me
He'll probably
wrong,
play 60 games.
but you
That's
are
the
not losing
notch.
anything. You
No.
don't lose anything, even if this goes the worst possible way. There's no risk to this.
Yeah, I agree. You gave up no rotational pieces. Like you said, Tice was the only borderline one that got some time, and that was mainly when Rob was hurt.
Yep. To which he
The
did a good
first
job.
Yeah, anytime you give up a first round pick, you're giving up an asset, and I'm not this is not me pushing back, but, like, objectively, you're giving up a first round pick, like, the weight of that clearly has some value. Um, Fitz, Stauskas, Morgan, I loved Malik Fitz, so I'm sad to see his bench celebrations go, but
That is a
nothing.
loss. In fairness, that
Yeah,
is a loss.
yep. But having Malcolm Brogdon as some extra depth who, by the way, we'll talk about get to that in a second, is a huge win. Having him as your backup combo guard who can also, just like Derek White, play some small forward probably for you, is a huge win. It's an expensive price to pay for that. They're gonna have to pay for that ownership, but they gave Brad Stevens the green light. He did it. Shout out. Great move. What I was going to say was I forget. What was I talking about? What was I
Wing
just
depth.
saying that? No, 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 no. Just a second ago. Shoot.
Oh, man.
Um, that's brutal. We can go
He was going to
to
play 60 games. You get what you gave up. You went through the pieces they gave up. You might have been thinking about
oh,
Neesmith.
yes, I got it. I was talking about Smart. A lot of people, when the Brogdon trade went down, thank you for jogging my memory. um, immediately felt vindicated. The smart haters came out full force
Yeah.
because it was along the lines of Celtics needed a full-time point guard. There you go. It finally happened. Malcolm Brogdon is not a full-time point guard, right? He's not a point guard, right? Like your definition of a pass first point guard is not Malcolm Brogdon. Like I don't understand the notion of, oh, the Celtics finally got a smart replacement. He's not gonna start. He's the backup for Marcus Smart. I don't think people, like, fully understand that, right? Like, Mark Murphy of the Boston Herald, and I really hope I always write Mark Murphy of the Boston Herald because I'm pretty sure it's that, but if he writes for a different outlet, I'll look like an idiot, but, um,
I believe it's the
yeah,
Herald,
it
but
is the Boston Herald,
well,
um,
there you go.
reported that the Celtics plan on running out Marcus Smart as the starting point guard and Brogdon will be the backup. So all these people coming out and complaining, like, "You look foolish." Second off, last season Malcolm Brogdon averaged 5.9 assists. You wanna know how many Marcus Smart averaged?
More than
5
that.
point 5.9 assists. They
Oh,
averaged
jeez.
the
There you
exact
go.
same. And you're gonna say, "Oh, well, he only played 36 games." You wanna know how many Brogdon averaged the season before that? 5.9 assists, right? And he had 1 season, in your slight defense, those people, he averaged 7.1 assists in a season, which is a good number, right? That's a really good number. He was also given the opportunity to be the Pacers starting point guard on a team that did they make the playoffs? They did make the playoffs and got bounced in the first round in 4 games. And Marcus Smart was never given the chance to be like the whole argument that Malcolm Brogdon is a point guard and Marcus Smart is not just shows that people like are hating for the sake of it and don't really pay attention, right? Like this is not me knocking Malcolm Brogdon. I think he's a phenomenal addition, but he's not this, oh, they finally got the pass first point guard. No, like, stop. That's not like Malcolm Brogdon will help with playmaking. And I've been on the record saying, yes, I think the Celtics needed more playmaking on the roster, but they don't need this, like, they need a pass first point guard to replace Marcus Smart. No, they just need more guys who are capable of setting up the Jays for easy shots. Brogdon provides that. They now have Derek White, Malcolm Brogdon, Marcus Smart in the backcourt, all of whom are very good playmakers, and Jason Tatum, obviously, who's developing, who can set up Tatum and Brown for those easy looks. And the big men can pass too. Al Horford, Robert Williams, very underrated playmakers. So the notion that Marcus Smart is being replaced by Malcolm Brogdon is foolish.
Yeah, and I think you nailed it on the head when you said not paying attention. Because that is I really don't talk to that many people that watch all these games and are always on Twitter or reading or listening to or doing listening or doing podcasts, doing anything with the team that don't like Marcus Smart.
Yep.
Very rarely do you come across somebody that's like constantly in the loop, always paying attention, knows what they're talking about, and they don't like Marcus Smart. It just doesn't make any sense to me. You just had a team go to the finals. They should have won. You can argue that. That was led with him as the starting point guard. And he tweeted or said that in an interview that he just led them to the finals. And people got mad. You didn't lead them. That technically, I mean, obviously, him saying he led them to the finals doesn't mean he's saying he's the best player on the
No,
team. He said he led them to the finals as the starting point guard, which is
which is factual.
what everyone has been clamoring. Oh, they need a playmaker. Even the national people say that all the time. Stephen A. Smith says it. Oh man, I was listening. What show was I listening to? Was it the Reddick podcast? But I don't remember who it was that said like they needed a playmaker. And I'm just like, you're not paying attention. Like he is a fantastic passer. And his assist to turnover ratio is very good. He's not racking up assist numbers because that's not necessarily his role. The Celtics play a more fluid type playmaking offense where sometimes it's Marcus, sometimes it's Tatum. Later in the season, sometimes it was Derek White, sometimes it was Al Horford. It's really all about ball movement. It's not one guy dominating the ball waiting to make the pass. That's not
Mhm,
how it is. That
mhm.
argument is, oh, Brogdon's coming in to replace him. It's just so you're not paying attention. I mean, you couldn't have said it better. Those people are not paying attention. And I don't know if anybody was more excited than me when I found out about this because I've been begging for Brogdon.
Mhm.
You know it more than anybody. I've been like, oh my God,
Oh, yeah.
finally. Like they got him. I was out to eat. Just had sat down because I get out of one with a friend of
Yeah.
mine, Devin, who's always in our chat. And the waitress comes over and she's like, "Can I get you guys something?" And we had to have her like come back twice because like I was like, "Oh my god!" Like I had to tweet. I was like, "What
You're
did they
dazed.
give up?" Like I'm figuring out what's happening. She's coming back over, and I'm like, "Oh, listen, we're like real sorry." And like I'd never been there before, so I actually had to look to see what they had.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Usually, when I go to a restaurant, it is the same thing every single time. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yep.
That's my motto with food. That's my motto with basketball teams. That's why you don't have me wanting to trade guys often. But in this case, it's
Jerseys.
fantastic. You traded all these guys you don't use.
Yep, just like the home whites,
How?
you don't change it if it works.
That's right. And I just don't understand how anybody can be down on this trade. You can be neutral on it. You can be like, okay, whatever. But there is no losing in this situation. This is a perfect trade. It either is a fantastic addition or it's just lateral. There is
Yeah,
no, oh my God, they really lost out. Because again, if Neesmith becomes a fantastic player, which I mean, I don't doubt it.
I
Like
hope he does. I hope he does.
yeah. I mean, I always thought he was fine. He wasn't great. Didn't play confidently. It's tough to be a shooter when you don't have the confidence or the minutes to get the confidence. But he's going to have that in Indiana. He's going to have more room to grow.
Well, we say that. He's gonna be like their 3rd string small forward in Indiana. Like, and he's gonna
He
come
should
in.
get some kind of flexible run.
Well, you're talking like Chris Duarte is gonna get minutes over him, right? They just drafted Benedict Mathurin. He's gonna get minutes over him. O'Shea Brissett, our friend, he's gonna get minutes over Neesmith, right? Like,
Well,
he's
he can
not gonna
play
have an easy
either
road
of
to
those
minutes.
positions. He's going to be
They
able to play 2 or
I
3.
know, but they also have Buddy Hield, they have Dwayne Washington. I'm just saying, like,
It depends what
he's
they want to do.
the
If they want to
I
get
know.
anything out of the trade, they will play
My
him.
point is the sentiment that, "Oh, of course, they gave up Neesmith, now he's gonna play good." It's not like Neesmith is, like, so good, but the Celtics are so deep that he's easily gonna get minutes on this team. No, he's still gonna have to fight for minutes on an Indiana team. That shows you how little the Celtics gave up for a piece like Malcolm Brogdon, who the injury concerns are valid, right? Like, it sucks that they didn't get a player to play 82 games, but they don't need that when they have such a strong guard rotation now. And Brogdon just so clearly fits exactly what the Celtics are trying to do that it doesn't matter.
Plays defense. He's a smart player.
Mhm.
I
Also,
mean, oh my gosh. What else could you ask for, man? Like
this is
maybe
just
healthy
this.
knees.
Yeah, exactly. Staying on the smart thing for a second. This is far from a perfect comparison, but it like saying that Marcus Smart isn't a real point guard because he doesn't pass the ball well is just so get off my lawn, right? It's so like 80-year-old
But
man
he is. He
can't
is a
like
good passer.
I know, I'm just making my
There is
point here.
no argument to him not being a good playmaker.
I know, but I'm saying that's the common argument. The common argument is Marcus Smart's not a real point guard, and I can only assume the only reason they're saying that is because they're thinking of a Chris Paul, right? So Steph Curry's not a real point guard then, right? Because he averages like 6.1 assists this season, which is point 0.2 more than Marcus Smart. So it's effectively the same thing. So he's not a real point guard, right? Drew Holiday, who was the point guard for the championship Milwaukee Bucks 2 years ago, he averaged like 6.1 assists. So he's not a real point guard either, right? So either those two are real point guards, and so is Marcus Smart, or you don't need a real point guard to win a championship. And both arguments favor Marcus Smart. So either way, your thought process is invalid. That like it just doesn't make sense. And you can back me up here from the beginning of the season, from last year when they were a 500 basketball team. I was one of the people that said, you probably don't need Marcus Smart to win a championship, but he helps, right? Like trading Marcus Smart would not be the end all be all. And you push back on me, fair enough. Like this wasn't me saying I disliked Marcus Smart. It's just me saying that there are trades out there that you could trade Marcus Smart and get an increase in value, right? Like he is not the end all be all of a championship. I love Marcus Smart. He's been my favorite player on the team for years, but he is not the end all be all of a winning basketball team, right? But saying that he's not a point guard and that the Celtics need to trade him to win is just ignorant at this point. It just doesn't make any sense. It's ridiculous. He's a phenomenal point guard. He is the defensive player of the year. Like the argument against the Steph Curry thing is, oh well, he makes up for it for his shooting. Mark Smart makes up for it with his defense. Then he just won defensive player of the year, right? Like it makes no sense that there are people out there who still believe that trading Marcus Smart is the answer to all of the Celtics problems. Like it convinces me you just don't watch basketball at this point.
See, if they were to trade him, I'm not convinced they get value back. I'm not convinced. Well, maybe now they do because he just won the award. But in years past, and times we've actually had the legitimate conversation about it, not just making fun of people that say it, there, in my opinion, has never been a time where you're going to get equal to greater value back. I just don't think, and that's why I was always dead set against it. Even if you felt like he was an issue or whatever, I never thought that you would get anything back that would match the value he brings to the team. And whether or not you think he's important to a championship team is your own thing. Not you, but whoever's listening.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I do. I think I think you need a guy like that if you're going to win a title. You need somebody that's going to leave it all out there and be the irritant and make all the hustle plays. I mean, Grant Williams
Mhm.
tries his best, does okay, right? But I mean, Marcus is pretty much the captain of this team, and it sucks that they never like officially named the captain. I love that kind of thing. It's just me. Like, I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
cheesy, whatever. I think that's great. And I wish they would have done it. I think it would be a cool moment. But I mean, that guy rules. And I don't understand the people that hate on him. He's a good guy off the court. He always plays hard. He treats everybody the right way. Like, I don't know. He's not, especially over the last season, he's not doing the careless things that people really hated. It didn't feel like he was taking threes out of rhythm and forcing. Like that didn't feel as common. It didn't feel that way.
Yeah.
It felt like he was everything he was doing was positive. I don't know why people hate on this guy so much. It's just what they're used to, muscle memory, maybe. But I mean, he's not the reason they lost. If you want to point fingers, I mean Tatum. You
Well, I went on a podcast recently. Shout out Simple Mind Sports. They're great guys. I love it when I jump on. But one of the arguments was like, "Oh, well, he single handedly threw Game 5 against the Bucks or something." And I didn't say it, but like, I dislike the notion that you can pick out specific things for specific people support specific arguments. It was when he was forced to make a play on the inbounds. He turned it
no,
over.
I
Jamal
know
made a
it. I
block.
know the situation you're talking about.
Yeah, and I understand being mad
I'm not
because
convinced I will ever forget that day.
I know. Because at the time, like, you see Marcus Smart turn the ball over twice in the last 30 seconds, and it's very easy to pin it on him. But, like, picking out these specific bits that are without any context to fit a specific argument, I dislike that because it kind of ignores the general grand scheme of things. Like, if you really want to dive deeper, Al Horford didn't set a screen. Jason Tatum didn't start the motion, right? They didn't start the play, so Marcus Smart was forced to make something happen, right? On that last play where Marcus Smart turned the ball over, you're talking about him having like point 0.5 seconds to make a quick decision and oh, Tatum was open. Yeah, okay, you go do that in that 2 second span and try to make a play happen, right? Like it's so context. We didn't talk about the amazing feed he made to Jason Tatum on the cut in Game 1 against Brooklyn. That didn't come up in conversation, right? Like it's picking and choosing that bothers me. And this isn't the shot at those guys in that podcast. Again, great people. I love those guys. They're cool, but that I just thought of that while we were on the Marcus Smart tangent, which we should get off of, by the way, because we've spent
Well,
about
I need to
15
respond to
minutes.
that
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
even if you want to talk about that game, like, I mean, there was a whole other like 8 minutes of collapse that happened before that to
Yes,
get to that
that too.
point. And like, that's why I really don't like pinpointing single plays like, oh, this play lost them the game or this play lost them the game. There are all kinds of moments throughout games, and we saw it in the finals where are winning moments. It could be in the first half, it could be, in the fourth quarter. It really doesn't matter. It's just important stretches of the game where you need to be the better team. And the reason why the Celtics don't have a championship right now, or didn't win a championship this year, is because they didn't do that in the finals. They were bad down the stretch. They were bad in opportunities they had to really blow the game open. That is what wins games. It's not always the last play. All right, enough of that though.
Yes. We can touch on Gallinari quick. I know you said you didn't have too many thoughts on it, but as far as I know, I'm just gonna double check my math here so I don't like sound like an idiot. 2 year, $13 million deal, 6.5 each year of the MLE. Um, Gallinari to the Celtics. Pretty easy. 6'10", 6'9", maybe wing forward. I don't think he's athletic enough or quick enough to play the small forward anymore. I think he's strictly a power forward, but he'll probably get some spot minutes at the three. For the Celtics, doesn't really have much defense left in him. Good shooter, solid scorer. And that's probably the role he's going to play. I've seen everywhere. This isn't my take, but I'm just repeating it here. Probably mainly a regular season guy. Might fall out of the rotation in the playoffs, but to have that extra depth during the regular season is huge. So you don't tire out your star. So I like the signing. He was far from my first choice, but not bad. It is what it is.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah,
I
that's all there is
mean,
to say, I think.
again, you didn't have to give anything up, right? Would have been nice to get a Bruce Brown or
Yeah, who ended up
Connaughton if he
signing for the
opted in.
MLE.
Yeah,
Crazy, right?
which sucks. But even then, like you said yourself, you don't really feel like they have wing depth, and
Yep.
so like he doesn't really contribute to that.
Bruce
Besides
Brown?
that, like Bruce Brown's like 6'3", dude.
He's a wing though. He's more of a wing
I
to
mean,
go
he's
than
not
me.
playing point guard, but like he's not your traditional what you want. You know what I mean? Like as a wing.
No, but this is too niche of a conversation for us to talk about. Continue your I thought. Sorry.
And he's fine. Like at the end of the day, he's fine. Like that's
Yeah,
another one
exactly.
where like he's not. It's not going to hurt you. The worst thing that happens
No,
is he
it's fine.
sits there and watches these games.
Yeah.
It's not. Who knows? Maybe he'll become like a Cantor, like folk villain, right? Where everyone just kind of
No,
hates him.
no. I don't think it'll
But
get that far. I
I
I
think
think it'll be
Cantor,
fine.
like he just kind of got annoying. It
The
wasn't that he
worst
was
case
bad.
scenario
It
the
was
worst
just he
case
was annoying.
scenario is Jeff Teague. If he turns into a Jeff Teague, that's where it gets yikes.
But even then, like Jeff Teague, like all you do is just don't play him.
Well, yeah, yeah, or
At
Tristan
the end of the day,
Thompson.
just don't play him.
Remember when we were hyped for Teague and Thompson? That was a low
Yeah, it
point,
was
huh?
bad. By the way, Tristan Thompson, we can segue into this.
Ugh,
People
God.
are down bad after the Thomas Bryant choice to the Lakers, which is a scum
Stop with
move.
Tristan
Neither here nor
Thompson.
there. But I've seen people ask for Tristan Thompson. Like, what are you doing?
No, no, no,
What do you
no.
want that guy to play here for? He's such
Ah,
a mess.
God.
But we
Cut
can.
it.
I'm sure this is something that was on the list for you. Is they are definitely in need of a backup big now.
They are.
Thomas Bryant was the target. You traded Tice away in the Brogdon trade. He was your third guy.
And
You
I
signed Luke
understand
Cornett, right?
yeah, and I understand why Bryant chose the Lakers. Like, yeah, it sucks because it's Celtics, Lakers, and Dudes, but if you have the opportunity to start, you take it,
Oh,
right?
you're
Like
gonna
he
be a
would
real
get
scumbag. It's gonna be real funny when they start losing and he starts getting blamed.
Mhm. Whatever. It is what it is. They do need a backup big man, in my opinion. I think Luke Cornett's a fine third string. Just like I think Sam
I
Hauser's
don't.
a fine third string. What do you mean?
I think like you need to get somebody ahead of him, which I think you agree
No,
with.
no, no, no. That's what I mean. When I'm saying third
Oh,
string,
okay.
I mean Rob, second string Luke Cornett. Because Horford's starting at powered forward, assumedly. But it doesn't need to be like a big time like backup. Like it doesn't need to be this premier backup big man. Like even Thomas Bryant might have been overkill, even though you would have gotten him for a minimum contract, so it wouldn't have mattered
For
that it's
nothing.
overkill. But um because you do have Horford who can also play center. So realistically, you just need someone who can play 15, maybe 20 minutes a night. And Keith Smith put out a good list for Celtics blog. Is there any niche of player that you would prefer to see in that role? And what I mean by that is like, are you targeting a veteran big man for the minimum? Are you targeting, the washed up guy who hasn't really gotten a chance in a while? Are you targeting Jason Tatum's homie Harry Giles? Or are you targeting like an unproven big man who can kind of grow into that role and get some run? Like, what are you looking for in that backup big man role? Like, are there any names that pop out to you? I can pull up a list that Keith put out on Celtics blog, but I'll let you talk first.
I almost feel like the best option is to sign two. One, you have the spots for it. What are you doing with
Okay.
those spots? Two, you're gonna need the depth sometime this season, I think, because you're gonna have to let Horford hang out because the dude just played like 9 straight months of basketball and he's old and he played like real minutes. So you're gonna have to give him his breaks throughout the season. You're gonna need extra
Yes.
guys,
Mhm.
which Luke Cornett can be.
And
However,
Grant and Rob, and you've got guys who can
I
step up.
think
But
it's a real good idea to I think it's a good idea to have a veteran guy, but I mean, you were all over the Isaiah Roby before he ended up on the
oh, that would
Spurs.
have been beautiful. That would have been perfect. That would have been
But
perfect.
I think you watch the summer league here, right? You see what you got. That's
Mhm.
another thing. Trevion Williams is a name all over
Yep.
Twitter. Listen, I've talked
He's
to
on my
people that
list.
actually watch college basketball. They're not as excited as Twitter is, but that is an interesting name to me just because of what I see. I see that he can pass the ball. That's what the Celtics
Mhm.
bigs are real good at. That's one common trait. Rob, Horford, Grant Williams even does a decent job at slinging the ball around. Throughout that playoff run, they all pass the ball well. That's one of the reasons why the offense worked so well, even though Rob isn't a shooter, right? Typically in today's game, you
Yep.
want everyone shooting, and they didn't have to do that. So that's one thing that could help him out. I I've seen Dwight Howard, DeMarcus Cousins. Who would you rather have? If you want someone to just slap in the Rob role, I guess you pick Dwight
Yeah.
because that's kind of more his
I can read you a
game.
list. Let me speed run you through a list
Sure.
that Keith put out, and I'll let you take these. Trade targets, so like MLE guys, etc. Goga Batadze, Kem Birch, Tony Bradley, Zach Collins, Derek Favors, Willie Hernan Gomez, Alex Len, Trey Lyles, Boban Marjanovic, Kelly Olynyk, Mason Plumlee, Jakob Pertl, Dwight Powell, Naz Reid. That's the trade targets. Any names stick out? I
Well,
spit them at you. So
oh, Jesus. Uh,
Naz Reid is the top guy, but I don't know how
you think
available he'll
so?
be.
I
You know,
heard
so
Dwight Powell, which you did not say. Dwight Powell is like another
I did,
decent option. Oh, you did say
I
that?
did. I said it
I
quickly,
think
but yes, he was on
I
there.
think that's a decent option because he's athletic.
He's just expensive.
Well, I
Uh,
don't care. I
I
couldn't care less
I
how
know, I
expensive
know,
he
I know,
is.
I know.
But in I the way I look at this is okay, you want guys to plug in that fit. So
Played 82
I
games
li-
last year too.
I like Kelly Olynyk as much as the next man. However, he's not playing that much defense. So maybe he's one of those guys that you bring in just to have him, right? Because
Mhm.
I still stand by. I think you should have two of these guys that you bring in, just so you can be flexible in your bench. You know, do you want a guy shooting? Do you want an athletic guy like Rob? And you can play in. Well, I guess if you want the shooter guy, you can have Grant in the four role,
Yeah,
but it
or
still allows you to
Gallinari.
be flexible with your lineups. Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know. I don't know. Dwight Howard is interesting to me.
He's
Just
also on the
just
free agent list.
just because
Yeah.
he fits so similar to Rob.
Mhm. I mean, the free agent list that Keith put out is
It's
scary. It's
bad.
LaMarcus Aldridge, DeMarcus Cousins, Dwight Howard, Tristan Thompson, Hassan Whiteside, which is such a yikes list. And he acknowledged it. This isn't like Keith's suggestions. It's him like saying what's available. And awful, right? Like Tristan Thompson, Hassan Whiteside, like,
Neither one of those guys even get like a call.
yeah,
They're
that's
both I mean, Whiteside just straight up doesn't try at times. It's not the identity of this team.
brutal.
Thompson's
Yeah.
kind of the same way. I mean, all those guys really are. That's why they're not on teams.
Mhm. Harry
And you could
Giles is also a guy you see Twitter bring up because of his connection to Tatum. I wouldn't mind giving him the chance, but like, there's a reason he's out of the league right now, right? Like he hasn't been able to put it together. So do you want to take that risk? And if you do take that risk, do you want to take in Harry Giles? My personal thing is, I agree with the notion of signing two guys. I think you give Trayvon Williams a two-way spot because you have two ways right now, right? Like you have both of them. Because Sam Hauser got signed to a real deal. Matt Ryan's two-way was up, right? Like you have two-way spots open. Hand one to Trayvon Williams. And then best case scenario, he outperforms the two-way spot and he gets a roster spot and you can waive somebody, right? Um, there is that. I think you take summer league, and we can get into this briefly to wrap up the show because I have the roster here. You have a couple guys on summer league who, if they develop correctly, can back up Rob like really well, right? Two guys they signed as their summer league big men. Chinanu Onuaku, if you remember, he's the guy who shoots underhand like Rick Barry at the free throw line. Um, he played for the Rockets a little while ago. He fell out of the league, played superbly well in overseas. I wrote about it for Heavy a while ago. He's like defensive monster now. He's just really long, really athletic. Has similar issues to Rob. Like he can't really shoot free throws, like typical big men stuff. There's that, but he's very athletic, good defender. And then Mifon Ducabangele, and hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. Both two athletic, defensive-minded guys, still relatively young. I think 24 and 26, or 23 and 26, something like that. Like if they do well in summer league, handing them a minimum contract with Trevion Williams at a two-way spot to like battle out for that backup minutes, I don't think it's a terrible idea. But I also understand the notion of you want a guy who is dependable and consistent and can play. So sign a veteran so they'll definitely be able to play. But at that point, like again, Dwight Howard's probably the best option, and that's scary. Other people, Keith mentioned like Willie Cauley Stein. He brought up some like overseas options like Olivier Sarr, who played with the Thunder last year, Mike Toby, who is in Spain right now, and then Cody Zeller as well. Like all these options are unattractive to me just because like if you're talking Cody Zeller, Willie Cauley Stein, you're talking what? Immobile big men who can't really replicate. I want somebody who can replicate Rob. That's my goal in a backup
Yep.
big man. And if I'm the Celtics, I'm willing to take a risk to do that because you have Horford, Rob, Grant Williams, and Danilo Gallinari as your front court right now with Luke Cornett, just in case, who already knows the system. I'm willing to take a chance on Onuaku or Kabengele or Travion Williams. Like one of those guys, I think at the very least, you hand Travion Williams a two-way spot, hope that he develops into a good enough backup to play 10, 15 minutes if necessary. And then you also hope that Onuaku or Kabengele really shines in summer league on defense and replicates Rob to a degree where they feel comfortable handing him a minimum contract, which realistically speaking isn't that big of a deal. Like a minimum contract, you have 3 open roster spots and 2 two-way spots right now. Filling one of them with a young center that you think could potentially mimic Rob, I don't think is a bad idea. So I would do that. That's my preferred route for the backup center thing at this point. Thomas Bryant would have been nice. You know, all these guys that already went in free agency, they would have been fine. At this point, wait out summer league, see if anybody shines there. Onuaku isn't on the Celtics summer league team, by the way. He's on the Jazz summer league team, but he's in summer league. And at that point, you just take you look. Kabengele is on the Celtics summer league team. You can take a look at him as well. Same thing with Trevion Williams. Hell, like maybe Begarin plays super well in summer league, and you have him as a 4-3-4. I don't know exactly how tall he is. I think he's 6'8", 6'9", as a small ball, 5 or a 4, and he shines on the defensive end. Like you have guys on the summer league roster that could potentially impress you. So you wait that out. In absolute worst case scenario, you sign like a veteran big man like Willie Cauley Stein or Cody Zeller that can fill in for 10 minutes a night, right? But I think it'd be more worth it to take a chance on one of these summer league guys.
Yeah. Maybe that is the hybrid, right? I'm in on the two guys thing. You want them to be plug and play. That's my biggest thing. I don't necessarily care who it is, as long as they play hard. Um, but make it so they can fit in the lineup. Make it so when they're in there, there's not a big shift in how the team has to play. You don't want to have to do things like you did when Taco was in your rotation at times in
That
the
was tough.
half COVID season there, where every time he was in the game, you'd
Yeah.
have to play zone. Like that's an extreme example, but there are minor adjustments that teams have to make because guys are on the floor. You don't really
Yeah.
want to have to do that. That's probably one of the things that made the Celtics as good as they were, is that Rob was so versatile defensively. Al Horford was so versatile. Grant Williams could come in and play. Even when Tice was in, right? Like he would be fine. He wasn't the greatest, but he was able to do things that the other two guys could both do to a lesser degree. So that's really what you're looking for, in my opinion. Sounds simple, but I guess I'm easy to please on that one.
No, I see what you mean. Do you want to roll through the Celtics summer league roster since the first game is when you guys are listening
Saturday,
to this, it'll be
5:30.
tomorrow. So
Yep,
yeah, it'll be the 9th at 5:30 against the Heat, right? I think they're playing the Heat. Um,
sure.
who by the way, Heat summer league from what I've seen stinks. They're bad.
Yeah, they have
The team is
Jovic,
bad.
and that's it.
Yeah, Jovic. That's about it. Trevion Williams, Purdue center, like we already talked about, 21
Mhm.
years old. Passing apparently is out of this world. I haven't done too much work on him. He's like bigger, so he maybe needs to shed some weight to be more uh what's the word? Athletic and banging down low. But he can bang down low. He can fight with the big guys and he shot it okay at Purdue, but he had took like very limited attempts, so that's not really uh you know something of note. But Sam Hauser will be playing. That's one guy who everybody should be watching. It sounds like they really like him. They're really impressed
They're
with
re-signing
the
him.
shooting. Yeah, 3-year deal. So they clearly appreciate it. And if he can work his way into a rotation, that'd be huge for their depth at the wing, which I still think they need to sign. Like with their roster spots, I think they need to sign a small forward, a veteran of some sort who could step in if they like really need it. Like Ben McLemore, although that's like I'm talking like roster fillers, right? That have been in the league before and know what it takes to play. Excuse me. Uh Juwan Begarin, second round pick in 2021. He played rough in France this past year. He didn't play very well, but he's an athlete and turning heads in the practices so far. Like he's an athlete. He's very raw prospect. I highly doubt he'll end up coming over to the Celtics roster, even though I mentioned it. But like I said, there's an opportunity there. So I'm not gonna get hopes up. But JD Davison, second round rookie who they just drafted. Did you see the interview on Twitter where he just kept like saying,
I'm
"I'm
a
just gonna be a
dog.
dog. I'm just gonna be a dog."
I'm a
You
dog.
respect it. That's exactly what people
You
want to
play
hear. But
hard, brother.
it's funny.
That's
Yeah.
that's what
How,
these people that like this team like to see, really. I
like I
don't think
said, you have
anything
a
gets us
chance.
going quite like a guy that plays hard, like Marcus.
Yeah,
Like everybody, oh,
you
he's
have a
polarizing, but a lot of
you have
people
a
love
chance
Marcus.
to earn a two-way spot though. I mean,
He should
play
be
hard,
exciting to watch. I
be a
mean,
dog.
he dunks a lot.
He does. He's an
Doesn't
athlete.
do everything right, but he
No.
does he does cool dunks.
Show me something. Show me something. Matt Ryan, who another vibes guy who I like, so I'd love if he's back on the team on a minimum contract. I appreciate him.
Yep.
He's cool. Broderick Thomas, kind of indifferent about him. I honestly forgot he was on the team by the end of the year, but he's playing. Maybe he can earn a spot. Maybe he can earn something. Um, Mifiondu Kabengele. I'm saying it wrong, but Kabengele. 6'10", played phenomenal in the G League last year. In his 25 G League games, averaged 17 and a half points on 43% shooting from deep, limited attempts, I think. But like, he's shown some stuff. He's athletic, so maybe he can earn it. AJ Reeves, your guy Sam, got
He
a summer league
sucks.
squad,
He's so bad. And all of you on Twitter that are excited because like he went to PC, oh, he's bad.
and
And
he's from
if you like
Boston
paid attention to PC,
or
like you would know
Roxbury.
he's bad. And you know me,
Well,
like I'm always like, get a local guy on the team. Guy's bad. I hope he proves me wrong, but he's bad.
mhm.
Bad.
uh,
The
Jericho Hellums.
comparison that I have heard and kind of agree with is a poor man's J.R. Smith.
Oh man, that's tough. Jericho Hellums, 4-year player, NC State, 6'7", a wing, an okay three-point shooter, just another guy. Jordan Bone, ball handler, played at Tennessee, I think, with Grant Williams. So there's that. Um, there's that, and then the man, the myth, the legend, Brighton Hobbs. You heard this?
Nope.
Jason Tatum's cousin got a spot on
Oh
the
yeah, he's
team.
like 30.
He's 30 years old. The last time he played recorded professional basketball was in League Two in Lithuania during the
Boy.
17-18 season. But they gave him the third string summer league spot on the roster. He averaged 17 and a half points in Lithuania, so he did something. He's all right, but it's just
Him and
funny that
LaMelo.
that happened. Yeah, but yeah, Brighton Hobbs got a roster spot. So that is your summer league Celtics. Is there anybody you're watching? Are you gonna watch? Do you watch summer league?
I will watch, yeah. I mean, I don't
Okay.
sit there like I do for an actual game,
Do you
but
watch non-Celtic summer league?
I've I've seen him like in
Did you watch
passing.
Chet?
I didn't watch it live
I
because I
watched a
work.
replay. I watched a replay of it.
I
I
saw his
didn't catch it live
highlights. Thought
either.
he looked fine. He's
He's
not
good.
guard. I mean, he got killed by Kenny Lofton Jr. and like down low.
Yeah, but like, I mean, Kenny Lofton Jr. is like 300 pounds. I
Okay,
would.
but like there are guys in the league that are probably just as strong
I
as
know,
him that
I know, I
aren't
know,
300 pounds. That's the point.
I
Like
know.
he's getting killed by some guy that probably isn't even going to end up on a roster in the regular season.
No,
Who
Kenny
knows?
Lofton will get a roster spot. He's been good in summer league.
I don't know.
They're
Well,
also
good for
friends,
him.
so I think Kenny Lofton was picking on him on purpose because they played together at some
But
point.
I mean, really, like it's not the most skilled guy. He's not an MVP type player. I think Denver and OKC are in the same division, so they'll play 4 times next year. Or he'll have to
Mhm.
play Embiid twice. He's gonna
I
have to
know,
play
I know.
Nurkic, who I also think is in that division. Like there are guys that are gonna eat him alive
Of course, yeah, he's gonna have to put on
defensively.
some muscle. He'll find a way. I'm not worried. I'm
Valanciunas
not.
is gonna kill him. Like
I'm
Vucevic
not.
will kill him in the
I'm
post.
not overreacting to summer league. I'm just saying Chet looked good. He'll be impactful.
Oh, good for Chet.
Yes.
Who cares, right?
Anyways, Celtic summer league. Who are you looking forward to?
I'm interested in Beggarine just because he's had a year now. He's drafting stash, drafted him last year, played.
Mhm,
Very interested in Trevion Williams. You know, mentioned him earlier when we were talking about the centers, of course. Sam
mhm,
Hauser. I mean, like to see him get some. I mean, he's probably going to be the focal point of the offense. The guy, every time he
mhm.
shoots, I think it's going in, which is a very elite club.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see them run plays for him, see how he moves off the ball. As odd as that sounds, it's going to be important for him going forward if he wants to break into the rotation. He's going to be able to get himself open shots that way. And I mean, he'll knock them down. That's just what he does. It's
Mhm.
exciting stuff. I mean, there are exciting aspects to this. To me, it's kind of strange Jan Madar elected to play for the national team instead of to play summer league, but that's whatever.
That is interesting. I understand
Maybe
it a
he
little.
feels like he's going to play better competition that way because there are like
I think it's
European
just a
players playing in
national
that.
national pride thing, I would assume. Like, if you get the chance to play for your national team, you don't really turn it down. It is what it is. I don't think it's that big of a deal. Um, I think the Celtics have a chance this year, and this is a bit dramatic, but I don't think they will have another Garrison Matthews, Max Strus situation. And I understand the notion of obviously they're going to get more playing time in other places, but the Celtics have roster spots. If someone plays ridiculously well in summer league and in the preseason, etc., you can give them a roster spot. You have the opportunity to give them a minimum, at the very least, develop them in the G League, and give them spot minutes, especially for the big men. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking for, like I said, Kevin Gale, Trevion Williams, even Beggarine, and on the Jazz, Onawaku, because the Celtics brought him in for a workout earlier this summer, so that's why I brought him up, um, to play well and look for a spot on the team. But yeah, that's about it. There was one last thing that I actually just saw on Twitter that I wanted to bring up to you, and it's brief, and we can wrap up there. Drew Hanlon, Jason Tatum's
Trainer.
skill coach, was just asked on Twitter, "What is Jason Tatum working on this offseason?" So, Sam, if you had to pick two things for Jason Tatum to work on, what would you pick? And we'll see how closely they match up.
Decorum.
What?
Decorum, which means not being a baby.
Oh my god. Okay, not it's a skills trainer, not like a mental guy. Like, give me two like on court things
I
Tatum
would
can
like to
work
see
on.
him finish around the rim better.
Mhm. And
Um, and I feel like you have to say playmaking just because it's not.
okay.
It's a good skill he has, but it can be better, and it can make him a better player and the team better.
Yep.
But number
Okay.
one, far and away, is finish the damn layups you get.
Number one thing, he said two things. It wasn't like in an order, but driving slash finishing through contact
Good,
is the first thing he answered. And then pull up jumpers is another one, which
fine,
sure, fair enough.
fine,
But
good.
good. Tatum is working on finishing through contact. Have that in the back of your brain. Maybe he'll come out be extra aggressive next year. That'd be fun. You'd
I
love to
wonder
see it.
who on the team has the potential to make the biggest jump next year.
Grant Williams.
I was thinking that. No, no, I'm not even. I
I'm
think you
not
might be
either,
like
but it's
half
just yeah,
joking, but I don't know. I feel like that's a pretty
I
good
think so.
guess. If he can learn to do more when he drives, and he makes it
Yeah.
harder for teams to defend him on a closeout, because he was real good shooting threes, and then they started to play
Mhm.
defense on him, and he was not as effective.
You know what? Actually, Rob. I'm still going Rob. I'll go
Rob
with
can learn
Rob.
how to shoot a little bit. He can shoot the mid range. If he learns to shoot a little bit more, he can be a real problem.
I think if Tatum improves his playmaking, and with the addition of Brogdon's playmaking, I think he could jump up. I don't know if he'll get to 15 points, but he like barely got to 10 this year. I think he'll average at least 10 points a game. I think, knock on wood, barring health, he should, be able to average 10 rebounds again, 2 blocks a game, be in the depoy conversation. Like, I think Rob can have a big year in it. For Grant, like you said, the shooting's already there. Staying home on defense, really honing in on that end and just not amplifying, adding different ways to score and different ways to help on offense other than just sitting in the corner. Like, if he can learn to move off the ball, if he can learn to cut, if he can learn to do all those little things, he'll be an elite role player and he'll earn the contract extension that's probably coming his way. So I think the Williamses, funnily enough, will have the biggest room for growth next year. And Jalen and Jason obviously will
I feel
also
like
continue
Jalen
to improve.
Brown could have a sneaky growth year just because
All
he
NBA?
was real good, but at the same time, he was real bad at other things. Like he was
Yes.
turning the ball over all over the place in the playoffs. Like if he's not doing that, imagine how good he was. And he was good as it is, even with the negatives. Like he was maybe the best player in the finals, and he had a lot of turnovers. Like he
Mm,
was maybe the best player in the conference finals. He had a lot of turnovers.
yep. Yep. Did you see they're letting Grant Williams ref summer league games?
Yes. Yep. And they
You
said
see
he's
what he
bad.
rocked up in today?
Oh, he showed up again today? I
He
thought I
sh-
saw that he was not there.
no, he showed up in a ref outfit today.
Grant Williams, by the way, making a very random appearance at that party with all the other players.
Yeah, that was funny, right? He popped
And
up.
and Robert Kraft,
He's
who's
very
also.
clearly liked, like, the league. Everyone clearly likes him around the league. He seems like a good dude,
I
and
just love that
everyone was
Robert
there.
Kraft is there.
Well, Robert Kraft was there. All the
Would you
rappers
wouldn't
like
you like to know
T-Pain.
like what Robert Kraft says to those guys? Like what do they talk about with him?
I don't know, dude. But I mean, like, influencers there, like, Charlie D'Amelio, she was
Nope.
there, like, the TikTokers.
Well,
Like, there were
that's
TikTokers
neither
there.
that's a conversation for another day, but of course they're there, like
Yeah, yeah. It was wild. Robert Kraft thing was weird, definitely funny. I said T-Pain, but I think that's one of the few rappers who I didn't actually see there. I meant, like, 21 Savage, Drake, all those people. James Harden, of course, was there chilling, hanging out, with everybody, but yeah, I think that's all I had on my docket for today. Anybody on the free agent market you're still looking at as, go get them Celtics, or are you kinda just like, at this point,
no, I
fill
couldn't
out the
even tell you
roster
who's
with who's
still. I mean,
available?
just the big guys. Like
I can tell you
we
names who's
we
available.
know
You want
Dwight
me to
Howard's still there. We know Cousins is still there. Like I don't know.
I'll spit out some
Nobody's
names. Here you
really
go.
like
Eric Bledsoe just got waived, but you don't really
they
need
don't need
that.
that.
Jeremy Lamb is out there.
I mean, I
Bring back Wa
guess
Gotta bring back, Bo Cruz, Juancho.
no.
Um,
He was a prick. He
Jarrett
bad.
Culver, Dennis Schroeder. You could go bring, Dennis the Menace back.
Send you into cardiac arrest.
Oh god, I couldn't do it. Um, yeah, there's really Melo. I've seen Carmelo brought up.
No
Um,
thanks.
but, Austin Rivers, Kent Bazemore, Tony Snell, like, we're just getting into the depths. Isaiah Thomas, if you really wanna
Yeah, all
get
right.
into
That's fine.
it.
No, in all seriousness, there is no
No.
reason why he shouldn't. Who else are you going to put on the end of the bench? There is
I de
no reason.
Developmental guys,
No,
people who
there
could
is
potentially be
no
better.
reason why you cannot put him in one of those end of the bench spots. I'm sorry. There's no reason for it.
Sure.
He should have been on the finals team last year. Just sitting and watching. He should be on the team. It is
Whatever.
morally correct for him to be on the team.
Uh, if he's fine with a do nothing, sit there mentor role, then sure, but if he's gonna want to play, then no, because he's not gonna play.
Yeah, it does depend on what he wants. But I think at
Exactly.
this point he'd be happy to be on the team and get minutes. I mean, this is going to be a good team. So you'd have to
Yeah,
imagine they are going to blow out teams, and you would have to imagine he's going to get minutes.
bring
Uh,
Joe Johnson
it,
back, let him ball out.
that would be fine. Like you need to listen. You need to get the squad on the bench,
Taco?
right? No,
Boban?
because
I'd back Boban.
well, Boban is like a
Vibes.
legit player.
Vibes. No, he's not. No, he's not.
He's better than Taco.
Yeah, okay, you're talking the lowest bar possible here,
Well, that's
Sam,
what I
come
mean.
on.
Like he's better than Taco. If you're gonna have a giant guy, you want Boban.
Boban hasn't played more than 10 minutes a game in 3 years.
Yeah, but that's more than Taco plays.
Yes, sure.
Like
Yeah,
Dallas would legitimately use him during stretches. But then again, earlier in the show, I was like, listen, I don't want guys who have to play different when they're out there.
I
But
guess.
Isaiah Thomas, I would really like to see on the end of the bench. There really is
Sure.
no, unless you really think it's going to be a bad distraction, which you could argue. There is no reason why, like even last
Mhm,
year,
mhm.
like Juwan Morgan should have like been on the bench instead of him. Like, sorry, like what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, there's no reason for that. At the end of the day, these spots, do they kind of matter? Yeah, they do matter. Teams make them matter. Miami makes them matter, right? That is not
Mhm.
typically the Celtics way. It's just not. In recent seasons, that's not how it's gone. They do not really do anything with these end of the bench guys, which can be a fault. But
Yeah,
if it's not really making a difference, then there's no reason why you shouldn't do it.
yes, unless,
Unless it
like
is a conflict of interest where
exactly,
he doesn't want that.
yes. But anyways, it is what it is. Uh, I'm excited for Summer League. I'm excited for Brogdon, Gallinari, see what rest of the moves they make. Thank you for bearing with us. We'll probably stick to one a week. Maybe we'll do a couple live shows in there, but we'll
Depends what
try to get one
happens.
out. I think our plan is we'll release one every Friday for the off season. At least for
Get
now,
your
that's the
weekend
plan. But
started, right?
yeah, yes, sir.
Um,
Anyways, I
we
think
did
that's
hit number
about it.
200 last week, which we didn't address
We
because it
did.
was a live stream, and I kind of forgot about it.
We did.
But that's pretty cool that we've done 200 of these bad boys. We probably did about 50 in the last 3 months, but
Yeah,
we're there. We did 200.
I
So
can tell you.
if you
Let me go look.
listen,
Let's take a
if you
look here.
listen, we really appreciate that. We enjoy doing this. It's helped us do other things. This is a big thing that we do.
Mhm.
Um, it's great. We appreciate it. We appreciate the people that watch the
We
pregame
didn't
shows.
We didn't put out a single episode during the Nets series, and I realize now it's because I was in
because you were
Ireland, but
away.
yeah, but, our playoff preview was episode 182, so we did what is that?
18 episodes in
18
like 2
episodes?
months.
Yeah,
That's a lot,
pretty good.
which is
It's
good.
pretty good. I'm going back, I wanna see, when you what was the first episode we did together? Because it
We
started
did
off like
we did one, it was
mhm.
March of 2020. It was before COVID, and,
We'd been doing it a bunch together at that point, though.
no. No, no.
Really?
It was maybe it was not March
Let me look.
2020?
Alright, so when I
I think it was
started
March
it,
2020.
the first
It
episode
definitely
was
wasn't 2019.
mhm.
Mine.
No,
I
no.
was not
The
on the show
first
in 2019.
episode I ever published was December 29th, 2019. That was the first
Okay.
one. And then I put one out on the 31st titled Teams of the Decade, which I think was an elite concept that I didn't get
Oh,
to
that's a good
put
idea.
out. We ranked me and Henry on a single microphone in a room with a bunch of echo. Ranked from 2010 to 2020, we ranked the best franchises, like based on a bunch of shit. Like we just ranked them 30 to 1, which is I thought was pretty cool. But the first one you were on, oh, man, is it really gonna make me click into all these. I think episode 7, February 1st, 2020.
Okay. Well, there you go. It's pretty good.
Wild. Yeah, now we're here. Now we've got 200 episodes deep, and we appreciate it. It's kind of
It's like
wild.
2 a week on
Yeah,
average.
chugging along. COVID was the worst, man. Remember when we were talking about the food and the
Yeah, we
bubble?
had to talk about the food. The
That
food.
was tough. Sam
Even
was
now, we don't have to talk about that. We have
particularly
summer
angry.
league, free agency.
Yeah, now we've got stuff.
Like, I mean, dude, I don't know. August is probably gonna be tough. August is the
August might
worst.
get there.
I can
We'll
complain
have
about
some
stuff
stuff
though.
though. Yeah, yeah, we'll find stuff to you'll find stuff to complain about at least.
I'm good at
But
complaining. Real
you
good.
are. That you are, yeah. Yeah, the first one you were on was 7, episode 7, and then you came back for episode 13, and then back for episode 16, and then from 16 on, we went, we rolled.
Yes. This is a very fun thing to do. And if
Remember
you
the
ever think about doing it yourself, by the way, you should always do it.
Go do it. Do a podcast. Absolutely. Remember the old logo?
Yes. The old
Old logo, man.
little basketball, it was green and yellow. And
Not
we
even
had the
that.
banner. We had the banner with the From the Rafters.
Mhm. Let me share my screen. I can show. We can show the old logo. Let's see. This was the old logo for From the Rafters. Uh, you should make sure we're good here. You can see it on YouTube if you're here. This was
Which is still a good it's a pretty good logo.
not bad. It's just the title of the pod is so small. Like it's just so minuscule down here. So we switched it up. New logo I think is better. Yeah, man, it's
Oh,
kind of
this is a better
crazy.
logo. The
Yeah, yeah,
green
yeah.
and the white on the black, it looks good.
We've stuck with it for a while. Like we've had this logo for a long time. So it's cool. It's cool to see how far, and we appreciate anyone that's ever listened, especially when we've been down in the dumps. We've had some cool guests. We've had some,
What?
uh,
We're gonna have to start
yeah,
doing guests again, especially in the summer.
we
I
will in
said
the off season.
last time we did a show like just us recording. I said I was gonna do a list, and I didn't do it because I'm lazy. But I'm going to do a list, and
All
I
right.
think next week we'll
Mhm.
preview. Maybe if we are able to swing it, Andrew Doxey would be a good person, I think, because
All
we
right. We'll
talked
get
to him
him
about
back.
this Brogdon trade. We can talk to him about those things we talked about with Marcus Smart. I think that
Hmm.
would be good. I think he fits that well.
Yes, sir. I agree. We'll have some people on this summer. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. We appreciate it. And I'll let Sam close us out.
Yeah, thank you very much for listening or watching. If you're watching, you're probably definitely watching on YouTube because that's the only place it is. You're either watching on Guy Boston or Bannertown. Either way, make sure you like, share, subscribe. We appreciate that. Leave a comment. Congratulate us on 200 episodes. Damn it. You can also find us on the streaming platforms wherever you listen to your music or podcasts. We're probably there. Follow us there. Make sure you get all the latest shows. They will be out. Fridays is looking like going forward, for at least for the summer.
Yep.
Um, you can follow at From Rafters Pod on Twitter. That is where they will be tweeted out from. Jack has been much better at that since making the rebranding
I
the
have a
account.
place to do it, so I
Yes.
can do it now.
And you can follow him at Jackson1NBA. He's always writing articles. You can follow me at Sam LaFrance NBA. I'll complain about something, make fun of, which was hilarious today. Rudy Gobert said he wants to bring a championship to Minnesota,
Leave him
which I cannot believe.
alone. Leave him alone. You gotta say it.
He is grossly overpaid. What was that? He's overpaid. He makes like $40+ million to stand in the paint.
Sure. He's one of the best defensive players.
You can follow me at Sam LaFrance NBA on Twitter. That's our show for today.
Tic-tac-toe. Come on.